it's really interesting looking back and incredible really. I guess it came out of a holy anger. I was seeing churches close down and I got really angry about that. And I just always sensed that God was saying to me, Fran, I want you to change that story. You know, you could be the one that brings a church that is closed back to life. Just this kind of burning fire in my belly that just wouldn't go away. And I shared it with a few people and everyone thought I was a bit kind of bonkers really. But I think that was the start of my journey to ordination. Yeah, that sense of, okay, God. Yeah, so at the time I was kind of on this process, the kind of ordination discernment process. They eventually sent me on 2 interviews. I think they did that just to kind of get rid of me, hoping that I would go away. It basically got to the end of the interview and she said to me, so Fran, it says here that you would like to plant a church. She said, how are you going to do that? And I said, I don't know. I've never done this before. But the sense of call on my life, the burden I have, God has broken my heart. Yeah, so I left school with no qualifications. I now know that I'm severely dyslexic, but just didn't get on with the academic stuff in school at all. And it was a real struggle for the church. All these people I met on my discernment process had all been to university. You know, their studies are full of books and I very rarely used to read a book. I struggle with reading. And they would say to me, how are you going to cope with the academic studies? Inside me, I knew that God was calling me. I knew that God would equip me for where He was calling me. And eventually people started to see that call, started to look past the lack of education and see the kind of call within me. So it wasn't until the ordination, as weird as it was, I remember getting dressed in all the kit in the cathedral and thinking this is really strange, and then processing in and then sitting at the back of the cathedral and just thinking this is really real, and still feeling like I'm not at home. And it wasn't until we kind of came in and then the bishop laid his hands on me and said this ancient prayer of come Holy Spirit. I just felt God's presence. I felt, Fran, this is where I want you to be. And I felt at home within the Church of England. I felt, in a way, I felt accepted and I felt part of the Church of England family. We planted here at St Margarets in 2017, not in here at the time because this building was deemed as unsafe. It was derelict and we met in the small hall next door, and as a lay volunteer I led St Margaret's Community Church, and we grew the church and we introduced people to Jesus, and it's been an incredible journey over these 5 years in October this year. So we moved into this building, not when it was like you see it now. We had no heating, we had one toilet and we had one sink, and we started a community cafe and a community shop. We started to meet here on Sunday afternoon because we outgrew the smaller hall. And in the winter we kind of hired in these big kind of heat pumps that would pump in hot air, but still it was absolutely freezing and you could see your breath. But the church was still growing, and thankfully we got a grant from the SDF fund which managed to put in some heating, and we've got new toilets, and it made the building structurally safe, and we put in a proper cafe and a community shop and a food bank. And as you can see, we had a vision to, in our kind of parish, There was a high demographic of single parents, and just a real burning in our heart, how can we reach them? And so we had this dream to set up a soft play centre, and so that was born last year. We got that totally funded, which was a real blessing, and it's open 2 days a week, and Sunday mornings and Sunday afternoon serving our community. But even when it was freezing, people still used to come and find a place of belonging. But it just makes it much more comfortable. It's so much more welcoming to people. People coming in and have found a home and found belonging. And we're able to reach more people because it's much more attractive and welcoming. It's really emotional, really emotional. It's only when you look back and you can see the physical change in the building, which is incredible, but it's the hundreds of lives that have been transformed by encountering a God that loves them. And to me, that's been the biggest motivation, really, the biggest confirmation that God has called me, seeing so many lives transformed.